Breaking news from Zimbabwe. The controversial constitutional amendment, widely known as CAB3, has officially passed through the Senate after receiving overwhelming support from lawmakers. This major development has triggered intense reactions across the country, with supporters celebrating it as progress while critics warn of dangerous political consequences. But the big question tonight is, what happens next? Can CAB3 become law immediately, or are there more legal steps ahead? Justice Minister Ziambi has now spoken, outlining the next stages before the proposed constitutional changes can take full effect, and what he revealed could shape Zimbabwe's political future for years. Before we continue, if you want the latest Zimbabwe breaking news, political analysis, and African current affairs, subscribe to this channel now, like this video, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update.
The result of the count is that 75 honorable senators have voted in favor of the third reading of the bill, and 4 have voted against the bill.
We had a robust debate, and I must state that about 55 honorable senators debated, and of those 50 were in favor and only 5 had dissenting voices. But by and large, it was an enriching debate. And I must add that what came out is that this House was not just a rubber stamping House. They managed to pick things that we didn't identify in the National Assembly, and we corrected them here. So what we did is we had amendments that were proposed by the Senate that we felt we needed to include. For example, we had omitted the procedure for the first sitting of Parliament after an election, and Senate highlighted that, and other consequential amendments that Senate felt we needed to do, and we duly did that, and thereafter Senate voted. I think it was overwhelming. You saw the vote that before the tellers could even count, it was very clear that the Senate had agreed to the bill in their numbers. So what is going to happen now is we are going to take the amendments proposed by the Senate to the National Assembly, and hopefully we'll consult His Excellency, because we had adjourned the National Assembly until the 7th of July, but we need to recall the National Assembly so that we deliberate on the amendments proposed by Senate. So hopefully next week we should conclude the business of CAB3 and we move forward.
When you say concluding the business of CAB3, what exactly do you mean after all those processes? What will take place after?
After we recall the National Assembly and they have considered the amendments proposed by the Senate, the bill will then be transmitted to His Excellency for his assent and signature. And once that is done, it now becomes part of our constitution and it will become operational.
Zimbabwe's political landscape has reached another critical moment following the Senate's approval of the Constitutional Amendment No. 3 bill. The passage of CAB3 marks a significant milestone in one of the country's most debated legislative processes in recent years. After intense debate, senators voted overwhelmingly in support of the bill, pushing it one major step closer to becoming law. Supporters inside Parliament see this as a victory for constitutional reform. Critics, however, view it very differently. For many Zimbabweans, the approval of CAB3 is more than just a legislative event. It is a moment that could reshape governance, power structures, and political dynamics for years to come. At the center of this development is Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Honorable Ziambi. Following the Senate approval, Minister Ziambi addressed lawmakers and the public, explaining what the Senate's endorsement means and what steps must follow before the constitutional amendments officially take effect. According to Ziambi, Senate approval represents a major legislative achievement, but it does not automatically complete the amendment process. There are constitutional procedures that must still be followed. The minister emphasized that constitutional amendments require strict legal compliance due to the importance of the Constitution itself. This is because the Constitution serves as the supreme law of Zimbabwe. Any amendment to it carries enormous legal and political weight. Ziambi explained that after parliamentary approval, the bill proceeds through the remaining constitutional processes before final enactment. These processes ensure legal validity and proper implementation. Although the Senate vote has strengthened the bill's position, public scrutiny remains intense. Supporters of CAB3 argue that the amendment is necessary to modernize governance and improve institutional efficiency. They say Zimbabwe must adapt its constitutional framework to better respond to current development needs. Government allies insist the bill reflects national interests rather than partisan goals. According to them, reforms are needed to strengthen governance structures and improve decision-making. They argue that legal systems must evolve as societies change. However, critics remain unconvinced. Opposition politicians and civil society groups continue raising concerns about the long-term implications of CAB3. Some fear the amendments could centralize power and weaken democratic checks and balances. That concern has become one of the biggest sources of public anxiety. Critics argue that constitutional amendments must always prioritize accountability, transparency, and protection against abuse of power. One political analyst commented, "is greater than. The issue is not simply whether reform is needed. The real issue is whether these reforms protect democratic institutions." That statement captures the heart of the national debate. This is not just about legal language. It is about trust, it is about power, and it is about Zimbabwe's future. Public reactions have been mixed. On social media, emotions are running high. Some Zimbabweans are celebrating the Senate vote. They believe reforms could help unlock better governance and faster development. Others are deeply worried. One citizen wrote, "is greater than. Whenever constitutional changes happen, citizens must pay attention because the effects can last generations." Another commented, "is greater than. We need progress, yes, but not reforms that reduce accountability." These reactions highlight the growing divide in public opinion. The CAB3 debate also comes at a sensitive time for Zimbabwe. The country continues to face economic pressures, including inflation concerns, unemployment, and rising living costs. Because of these challenges, many citizens are questioning whether constitutional reform should be the national priority right now. Some ask whether Parliament should focus more on economic recovery and service delivery. Supporters of the amendment disagree with that argument. They say governance, reform, and economic progress are connected. According to them, stronger institutions can help create a more stable environment for investment and development. Legal experts are now closely monitoring the next steps outlined by Minister Ziambi. They note that constitutional amendments differ from ordinary legislation. Because the Constitution is the highest law, amendments require careful legal handling. Every procedural step matters. Any mistake in process could trigger legal challenges. That is why the coming days are so important. Political observers say the Senate approval may also influence Zimbabwe's regional and international image. Investors, diplomats, and international organizations often pay close attention to constitutional developments. Changes in governance structures can affect perceptions of political stability, rule of law, and investor confidence. This means CAB3 is not only a domestic political issue, its impact could extend beyond Zimbabwe's borders. Meanwhile, opposition voices are expected to continue challenging the bill both politically and publicly. Some civil society groups are already calling for increased transparency around implementation. They want citizens fully informed about every proposed constitutional change. Analysts believe public engagement will become even more important as CAB3 moves closer to final enactment. For Minister Ziambi, the message is clear. The government views Senate approval as a major step forward, but the national debate is far from over. The central question remains, will CAB3 strengthen Zimbabwe's future or create new political tensions? That question continues to divide the country. For now, all eyes remain on the next constitutional steps. Zimbabwe is watching. Parliament is under pressure, and the nation waits to see what happens next. One thing is certain, the passing of CAB3 in the Senate may prove to be one of the most important political developments of the year, and its consequences could shape Zimbabwe's future for a long time. What do you think about CAB3 passing through the Senate? Is this a necessary constitutional reform or a dangerous political shift? Drop your opinion in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more breaking Zimbabwe and African political news. Thanks for watching.